That's a dramatic intro. Cary Grant, the dude. Um, it was really, in many ways, when he left us, that was kind of the end of an era for Hollywood. Movie stars just started dwindling and dying off. He's one of the few who walked away.
He ended his career like 20 years before he died or something.
Yeah, he went on to work for a major perfume company, Fabergé.
Really?
Kind of took over Fabergé.
Yeah, he turned into a businessman.
Yep, focused on business, and it was surprising to him and to his ex-wife because they stayed friends. Diane Cannon. He's like, who knew? I was a good businessman. He had head for business. He never knew that until he started working on Fabergé and headed up departments for them. He was the face of Fabergé. Cary Grant.
And a handsome face.
He was immortalized on the Flintstones as Cary Grant.
I remember that episode. That was a great episode of the Flintstones.
Impersonators would do his voice and they would go, Judy, Judy. And he never said that until he was interviewed. And then he said it during an interview. He says, I never said Judy, Judy. And by doing that, he said it. He was just, man, what a class act this guy was. Pushing envelopes all the time. The guy, he had a tough upbringing. He was born in Bristol in the United Kingdom. And he was born poor side of town, lived in a small townhouse, which was common for people of moderate income. And eventually he ended up being handed off to other people to take care of his grandmother, a fraternal grandmother. And his father put his mother in an asylum.
Wow.
And then lied to Archie. His real name was Archie Leach. And he believed into adulthood that his mother had died and found out when he was around 40 years old that his mother was still alive, that his father had lied. It's no surprise to find out he had nothing to do with his father later on.
Wow. Good for him.
But hey, I want to, look, it's his birthday today. He was born January 18th, 1904. And he had such a strange upbringing. I love the new miniseries, executively produced by his ex-wife, Diane Cannon. And I think it's a really interesting portrait of this guy to finally see really who he was and what he was about and how messed up he was. This guy was using LSD through his psychotherapist. He gave it to him, observed, he watched over him, made sure that he had an interesting high from it. And he would do regression therapy.
They are doing that nowadays.
Yeah. He was doing regression therapy when nobody else was doing it. What's that, Teague?
He was on the right path. Peck was doing it too. Gregory Peck did it too.
I don't remember reading anything about Peck, but I'm not surprised. Peck was a pretty advanced dude. But Cary Grant, he was just trying his best to deal with those demons from his past because they haunted him until his death. Mm-hmm. And it's a simple truth. I came from a messed up family myself, really messed up. And I'm going to be 60 in a couple of months, and it still troubles me. I can't talk to my own siblings. I find them frustrating. I just don't get them. I'm closer with my friends than I am my own family because, I love them, but I told my sisters, let me know when the next one dies, and I'll try to be there for the funeral. I told Luann and Susan, I'd have nothing to do with you if we weren't related. And you get these chasms in family, and he had that in spades, like way worse than mine. Mm-hmm. And he took all that negativity and made something of it. He became probably one of the most beloved actors in the history of Hollywood. And this guy could do anything. He was handsome, but he was funny as hell. He had great comic chops. And he was not afraid to be physically funny. He followed in the footsteps of guys like Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd. In fact,
Well,
what's that, Keith?
I was going to say that really right there breaks a kind of mold that had been built up in a way in Hollywood up to a point. You know, a lot of good-looking people, if you were that handsome, would not have been allowed to do comedy. You know, every studio had a particular track based on who you were, how you looked, and the kinds of movies that you were always meant to make. And Cary Grant was one of those people that broke that a bit because he could have done nothing but lived for making romantic films.
Romantic dramas, exactly. But he wanted to do comedy. He loved comedy. And that came from the fact that he had done something akin to vaudeville. He did physical comedy with a troupe that he traveled with. And they came to the United States, toured the U.S., and then when they were about to leave to go back to the U.K., he jumped ship and moved to Hollywood. He wanted to be an actor. He tried New York and didn't work. He ended up being kind of a, what's the word, gigolo. Because he was young and good looking. Women would want to spend time with him, and that's how he'd make money. And but when he moved to Hollywood, man, big move, big changes. He went there with another actor, a female, and she was set to be a star. He goes out there and gets discovered and becomes one of the biggest stars very quickly, really. And her career just kind of like took a nosedive. So their relationship died over that, which is a problem that plagues Hollywood people when they get married so often. There are stories about that where one actor's career is doing well, the other one isn't, and then it flips. Next thing you know, the marriage can't handle it.
You get that kind of drama at the opera too.
I'm not surprised. But Anima went about watching some of the movies this week. Sadly, she couldn't make it through North by Northwest. She did not like that movie.
That is one of the most boring movies.
It's like number one favorite Cary Grant movie of all time. And she just couldn't stand it.
It did not work for me.
And didn't like Eva Marie Saint. I don't like her, she said. I went, oh, man. She's a foxy lady.
She's pretty. Don't get me wrong, but I can't stand her acting.
She was sultry in that role. And that, of course, is also the first movie for Martin Landau. And it kind of made...
Compared to the acting we get from Tippi Hedren in The Birds, you got some real good stuff from Eva Marie Saint.
Well, Hitchcock was fixated with blondes.
Yeah.
And obsessed with them. And this is something that I think his wife turned a blind eye to. Because I kind of believe Tippi Hedren over what she said. I do. Because he would not let her
calling her a liar. I'm saying, like, there's proof on screen that if she said something that wasn't true, we would be able to tell because she can't act. If she said it and it sounded believable, I would just be like, yeah, like Amber Heard. If Amber Heard told me something and it seemed like it was true, like, hey man, like which way, to the bathroom? She'd be like, it's that way. I'd be like, all right, I believe her. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But she had been warned by what's her name from Psycho that Hitchcock can be domineering with your life.
He should have used her in more movies because she was the best actress possibly that he had.
Oh, from Psycho? Both women in that film. Lee and what's her name that plays her sister are both really good actresses.
Imagine if she got together with Tony Curtis, the other co-star of Cary Grant, and they were to have a kid. I bet that kid would do well in Hollywood.
Yeah, probably be like one of the first scream queens.
I could see it. I could definitely see it. And
maybe I could totally see
Academy Award. Maybe an Academy Award late in life too.
Yeah, probably give her a name like Jamie Lee Curtis. So, but
with three first names, how can you not trust her?
Now, one of the ironic things about Cary Grant is he didn't want children. And it's because of his upbringing. He was terrified of what his being haunted would do to children. And so he didn't want children, but Diane Cannon got pregnant back in 67 or 65 and had the baby in 66. And same age as Keith, by the way, Cary Grant's daughter. And she's gorgeous, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at her. I mean, her parents were gorgeous. So come on. I mean, that.
Yeah. Diane Cannon and Cary Grant. Although there were some nightmarish scenarios where she could turn out really freakish looking. Giant chin. But she is gorgeous. She's beautiful. And he doted on her and he gave up acting so he could be a good father. He wanted to do what his parents couldn't do. And he felt bad because, he did find his mother and he took care of her, but he couldn't physically be close to her. He kept her housed in England. He had to keep her separate from him. And I don't know what the driving force was on that, but I know that part of it was because Cary Grant isn't who he was. He's Archie Leach. That's who he really was. But Cary Grant was a persona he created. His accent was a mixture of his Bristol accent and the Pan-Pacific accent of the 1930s and 40s. You guys remember that fast talking way they did? Katharine Hepburn, one of the greatest users of that accent.
All through Bringing Up Baby, they're going back and forth with that snappy talk.
And what a great movie Bringing Up Baby is. Once again, he was a big fan of Harold Lloyd. And in that movie, he put on the little round glasses like what I'm wearing right now in order to look like Harold Lloyd. He did that on purpose. The guy was genius and knew his comedy. He did his own pratfalls. There were no stuntmen for Cary Grant. He did all of his own jumps and prats. And in that movie, he did one of the funniest things was there had been a rumor for years because he had roomed with, what is his name?
Randolph Scott.
Randolph Scott. Yes. Thank you. The great cowboy actor. And there were rumors that they were more than just roommates, which wasn't true, but he didn't care. He let that rumor go, man. Go ahead, have fun with it. And in the movie, Bringing Up Baby, he did. In the movie, Bringing Up Baby, he's dressed in a woman's gown. It's all silky with fur lining, and he answers the door to Katharine Hepburn's mother, and she goes, "Who are you?" And he says, and then she goes, "Why are you dressed like that?" And then he just jumps in the air does this great comedic jump because I just decided to suddenly go gay. It's so freaking funny. Cary Grant was so ahead of his time. And again, I'm going to tell you, he was very meta. He made a lot of jokes in his film that were really about the culture at the time. Fascinating stuff. I mean, if you do a deep dive, I've got two of them here. I'm going to play both of them from the movie His Girl Friday. I don't know if you guys are a fan of that film. I am. It is a remake by Howard Hawks. He wanted to remake The Front Page, and he had just seen it on stage in New York on Broadway. And he says, what would make that even better? Take the Hildy character and make it a woman, and it becomes a romantic comedy. And that's what he did. He went and did that. He did something else. It was the first film that he had overlapping dialogue in, where one person's finishing their dialogue and the next person's already talking because he says, that's the way people talk.
I was so glad I didn't live in that period of time where it was considered cool.
It would have driven you nuts.
Like that. Abbott and Costello, too. So, I mean, that was obviously a real thing. Imagine Congress. We think it's crazy now. Imagine those people trying to talk.
That was one of the things that irritated me about that movie was people talking over each other all the time.
So in the movie, there are two great meta jokes. I'll play the first one. This is one of my favorites because Archie Leach refers to himself in the third person because Cary Grant, as the character, says something about Archie Leach. He says, that's what Archie Leach said before I cut his throat. So here it is.
Mr. Lucky too.
This is in the movie His Girl Friday.
Whistling in the dark. Well, that isn't going to help you this time. You're through.
Listen, the last man who said that to me was Archie Leach just a week before he cut his throat.
Is that so?
We've been in worse jams than this, haven't we, Hildy?
Nope.
That was one of those great moments. And then the second one, this is one of my favorites. There's more in the film, but this is my other favorite. And her fiance, Hildy's fiance, is played by Ralph Bellamy. And he's such a down-to-earth character in the film. He's like, you know, he wants to hate the Cary Grant character. He says, but I kind of like him, you know. But all the time, Cary Grant's setting him up all the time. He's constantly setting him up. And so this scene is great because he's sitting in a car out in front of the courthouse and she's upstairs. Hildy's upstairs. And he wants to prevent her getting back with Bellamy in the car. So he's going to send a little female bird his way to stop him. And this is the scene.
Hold on a minute. Hey, Benji, come here. There's a guy waiting in the taxi in front of the criminal courts building. His name is Bruce Baldwin.
What does he look like?
He looks like that fellow in the movies, Ralph Bellamy.
Oh, him?
Can you handle it?
I've never flopped on you yet, have I?
Well, come on, get going. You only got about 2 minutes. Hurry.
I love that scene because Ralph Bellamy is the actor and it just, what a great reference. All meta humor.
From Trading Places.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of the last films he was in. Yeah.
Imagine if Jamie Lee Curtis had been in that movie. That would be ironic.
I don't think was she a glimmer in her daddy's eye at that point? I don't know. I don't think so.
She's a glimmer in my eye in that movie. Let me tell you, there's this one scene. Well, I digress.
Well, I hate to ruin this for you. You know, she was born with both genitals, right?
No comment. What?
What a way to
from
silence a stream, man.
Yeah. She came out last year. She finally opened up and talked about it last year in her press to support the trans movement. And she stated that I was born with both genitals. What's that?
Were we talking what they call vestigial here?
Yeah, it's hermaphrodite. And her parents, probably Tony, decided to make her a girl. And they surgically made sure she stayed a girl.
I'm glad they did, but wow, that is one weird story. And I'm never
because she would look really weird with those knockers as a dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you broke Teague.
Let's never discuss Phoebe Cates, all right?
I find it my job in this life to break people when I have them on the show.
Is.
I do it to Keith, I do it to Nick, and now I just broke you.
Welcome to Pop Culture Minefield Share Your Pain edition, where Cybok Gary has been taking us through the worst experiences of our pop culture lives.
Tell me what hurts and where.
Show me.
What's that line that Cybok says? What is it he says? Share your pain. Is that it? Yeah, share your pain.
Help but notice your pain. It runs deep.
Mm-hmm. Share your pain.
Hey,
Show
I
me
wanted
on
to
this
point
doll
out that
what your pain is.
Yeah, there's a few different
Patrick Jordan here,
come-ons.
former chief of Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles, is here with us tonight. Are you a big Cary Grant fan?
I am, and I came on specifically to tell a story where I saw Cary Grant on the Sunset Strip.
Awesome.
Ooh.
So I was working an after party for the Academy Awards. So they had a place that called Spago's. It was right at Horn and Sunset. And every year they had an after party, and it was thrown by the legendary agent Swifty Lazar. Anybody recognize that name?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so so Cary Grant pulls up, and I think his wife was driving, or whoever he was with at the time, his wife was. So this would have been. It was right after I got there to West Hollywood, working there. So I want to say it was '86. That and. I'm just working the crowd, keeping the crowd in control. I mean, he wasn't the only guy. That a couple years later, it was Paul Newman. But so he pulls up, he needs to get up to the party, right? And I see him in the car, and I just thought it was so cool because I was a fan of Cary Grant when I was a kid, and I got a chance to actually see him. I was like 2 or 3 feet away from him, and waved him through the crowd, and waved the card through the crowd so he can go up to the party and join all the other stars. So. That's my Cary Grant story. And yes, my favorite movie for Cary Grant is Gunga Din. So it's old time.
We just watched Gunga Din yesterday. We've seen it many times, but Anima got to watch it yesterday.
I like
I watched a lot. Yeah.
Victor
this week.
McLaughlin is in that movie, and was it
A good friend of John Wayne's,
Douglas
Victor McLaughlin.
Is
A
it
lot of
Douglas
people don't
Fairbanks
know about
Sr.?
him. He was a pro boxer.
Yeah.
And he served in the war, First World War. Or no, wait, the Boer War. He fought in the Second Boer War in the UK, served honorably, came out, became a boxer, and he did a circus circuit in the United States. And he would travel. And the circus would tout that if you can survive 3 rounds with him in the ring, you earn $25.
Yeah.
Back during the Depression era. That was incredible. I showed Anima a picture of him yesterday, and when he was young, man, he was strapping and good looking.
Yeah.
When he got older, he had that boxer's mug, broken nose, brow scars. His face was very leathery.
He was in Fort Apache, if I remember correctly. He was in The Quiet Man. I mean, I
Yeah.
enjoyed him. They were the 3 of them. Was it Douglas Fairbanks Sr., I think, and Victor McLaughlin, and
no, it's Junior. It's Junior.
Junior, and then
Yeah, he didn't survive the Silent Age. Senior, his voice was.
Oh, it was Junior. Okay, so it was Junior.
Yeah, Junior had a good career in the talkies. Dad couldn't make it. His voice was wrong.
And then, of course, Victor McLaughlin, and then Cary Grant. It was a great movie. Great, fun movie. Boy would always like that movie, right? And so I watched it as a boy. Still like it.
I believe his first wife.
Classic.
If you saw him with his first wife, that would be Jennifer Lawrence, I believe.
Well, whoever he was married to in '86, or maybe he wasn't his wife. Maybe just a.
Well, he married just
this
down to earth woman.
Wife.
His last wife was the one that took, and it was a perfect relationship. There was no competition, no Hollywood shit. It was just love, and she showed him what love could be, and I love that. And what's amazing is Cannon again was the executive producer on this miniseries, Archie, the story of how Archie became Cary Grant. In it, she actually puts that in there. Although I will point out the female actor that was picked to play his future wife, not nearly as pretty as Diane Cannon's actor. I thought that was funny. It's like, nope, she wouldn't let that woman. And in real life, that woman was gorgeous. His wife that he met through the hotel. She worked for the hotel, and she fell in love with him, and he fell in love with her. And gorgeous eyes, but not in the miniseries. They got a pretty plain, homely looking woman to play that woman. And I'm like, that was strange. I suspect Diane Cannon had something to do with that casting. Cary Grant is one of my all-time favorite classic actors. I like him better than Bogart. I got to tell you, it's I can't say I like him more, but I am drawn more to Cary Grant growing up than I was to Bogart. But once I became a man, Bogart is one of those guys I would turn to for great lines. But I don't know, Cary Grant just since I was a child, man. One of my favorite films as a kid, other than Gunga Din, was Topper. And I love the series because they turned it into a series. And Topper was great. Cary Grant's good in that. But it didn't get the reviews and the popularity it deserved. But Gunga Din did. Gunga Din was a hit. And Gunga Din is single-handedly one of the greatest inspirations for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah, probably, yeah.
Operation Petticoat's a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's got Mrs. C from Happy Days in it. You got to mention that. You can't mention that movie and not say that she's in it.
That's right. But I'm going to go ahead and go off my list here because I made a list of my 10 favorite, even though I love all of the films. But I do have specifically my favorite 10 films. And number 10 is Topper. Number 9, Gunga Din. Number 8, Father Goose. Love that movie. Number 7 is To Catch a Thief, Alfred Hitchcock's final movie with him. 6, Bringing Up Baby. Number 5, Mr. Blandings builds his dream house. I love that freaking movie. Number 4, even though his acting is so over the top in this movie, it really is. It's so zany. Is Arsenic and Old Lace. And I wish, upon wishes, that they had gotten Boris Karloff to play the brother, because that was who he's supposed to look like. And Karloff had played him on stage, the brother, and they tried to get him, but his contracts wouldn't allow him to work, so they weren't able to get him. So they got another actor to play him. A good actor, by the way, but it was just weird that they didn't get him. Anyway, or sad. Then number 4 is His Girl Friday, and number 2, Charade. I love the Alfred Hitchcock movie that wasn't made by Alfred Hitchcock. And number 1, despite Anima not liking it, North by Northwest, which I always thought was funny that in the movie, when he's traveling by plane, when he finally lands at the airport, he lands and you see that it's a Northwest airline. So he went north by Northwest. And I don't know if that was intentional or not.
It was. There's no way that you can make a movie like that and not have that. Given how
I've never heard anybody that worked on a film ever talk about that. That's why there's no proof. I can't prove it. I suspect that it is.
Subtlety.
Yes, Walter Matthau was in the movie Charade. He's the villain, the main villain. So I'm going to go through some of the start comments, guys. We got, let's see. Kay Roberts said, wait, Finkel is Einhorn? Ace Ventura, guys. Come on.
Wow.
Penny says, Gary Keith Patrick. She didn't say anything to Martin or to Anima or to Teague. Penny.
She said hi to me in chat.
Oh, okay.
I love her anyway.
We love Penny. She's amazing.
Penny's awesome. She is.
And then Read by Nature says impressionist Alistair McGowan would regularly do Cary Grant impressions on his show in the 90s in the UK. I don't know who that is. You guys know who it is? I don't know who it is. I'll have to look him up. Kay Roberts wrote, insane scenes of dialing and redialing phone skits. Yeah, he was good with phone scenes. The only other person I think that was as good with phones is Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart can just sit there and pretend to have a phone call and say some of the craziest, funniest shit. Let's see. And Kay Roberts pointed out it was Randolph Scott. Yes, thank you very much. What, Teague?
I was going to say maybe Danny Kaye, if they ever gave him that bit to do. He was a big user of the fast talk, slick talk, but he had his own very special dialogue writer, so who knows?
Yeah, Danny Kaye was such an interesting guy. He could dance, sing. He was great with comedy. But he had some weird, and I was just reading recently about some of his weird, odd personal idiosyncrasies, and I plan to do a deep dive on that. I do know that he got busted once for cross-dressing, but I don't know. It was right in Los Angeles. You should look that shit up, Patrick.
He's weird enough to weirdly, ironically do something like that, but also he's weird enough to do it on purpose too.
Well, he's quite straight, but he apparently liked occasionally putting on ladies' clothes like Ed Wood. That's his thing, man. I don't care.
Hey, that's how the FBI got started, they say, right?
I don't know. I've always doubted that story, but
just undercover. That's all.
Just undercover.
Clint Eastwood implied it. I don't know.
The Bishop's Wife is a great film. It's been remade a couple of times. None of them ever come close to the original. It's a good film. I agree with you. Hey, Dragoners, who all is here? Let's see. We got Penny, Kay Roberts, Read by Nature, John Chipola, and Vinkman's Girl is here, and Dragon Ruse. Good to see you.
On Cipolla. I go with Cipolla.
I'm surprised anybody's showing up at this time of night. I'm glad you guys are. I just, I promoted this out early on just to let you guys know I was going to do it because I love Cary Grant, man. I love Cary Grant, but I love Bogart too. You brought that up. I love Bogart. I'd love to do a Bogart show. Just talk about some of the shit. There's, with Bogart, there were a lot of stories about that cleft scar on his lip. And Some say he got it in childhood, and some say he got it while he was serving in the Navy during World War One. Either one could be true. And it caused him to talk with that lisp.
Just did the Maltese Falcon on my show.
I know. I saw part of it, dude. I love that movie, dude.
It was very well received. So got good feedback.
I love what is it played against Sam when he's talking about how he shouldn't
he doesn't say it that way.
He kind of lists all the reasons why Humphrey Bogart shouldn't be in Hollywood. And he's like, and he's like, I've thought about it and I've been watching you and I've realized I'm short enough, I'm dumb enough, and I talk weird enough that I can do it too.
So I was going to show you 4 little images I found. These are 4 of the movies. A lot of people don't know that his first Hollywood film was Suspicion with Cary Grant. And that's Hitchcock's cameo in that film, putting mail in a mailbox on the street. And great film. We watched that one today, didn't we, Anima?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that one?
Yeah, that was the best I watched today. Because Hitchcock Friday is not my kind of movie, too.
Hitchcock really delivered in that movie as a mailman. I mailing stuff.
I had problems.
Don't tell Anima that I think she's weird about movies. Don't tell her.
I understand North by Northwest because it's a very slow movie and it's kind of a testimony to different kind of movie making. And let's face it, sometimes that director was caught up in himself, and it's a little bit
Hitchcock. Oh, absolutely. Well, there are certain plot points in there that are just so weird. Like when the delegate gets stabbed in front of him, or ambassador gets stabbed in front of him, and he lowers him to the ground, and then he grabs the knife out of his back. I'm like, who does that?
No one.
Well, even as a kid, I yelled at the TV screen, "Don't touch that! Why are you touching that?"
This will go good in my collection of pig stickers. It will.
but here's the thing about a lot of that. You have to remember that one of the things about Hitchcock is that he, made a lot of very suspenseful films, and 39 Steps being one of them, which is really one of those prototypical thrillers in the history of Hollywood. So for him to have made North by Northwest, it's kind of different in so much as that instead of having a kind of noir type of a thriller that is in mainly a setting or two, you want to create something first and foremost in color. You want to take advantage of what you have. And remember, Hitchcock's career is over a long period of time. You're talking someone branching out and into color and able to take advantage of what color provides, but also set technology and different ways of telling stories to create something like North by Northwest, which eventually was seen as the prototype for the James Bond films in how to disseminate the story, how to, basically create what is now considered to be the Bond formula. That Bond basically starts to put together clues before he can take down the main bad guy, leading to one of the best third act sets ever, which is Mount Rushmore. It's to me, I think it makes sense. Is it the best? Probably have precedence, and it's part of the growth of Hitchcock as an artist.
Yeah, definitely. Real quick, I wanted to show this one too. This was the second movie Hitchcock and Cary Grant worked together on. It was called Notorious. I'm sorry, and this was from the party scene, and Hitchcock made his cameo in that scene. I thought that was great. Hitchcock was always funny in how he'd do his cameos, and 2 of the funniest are in Cary Grant movies. This one right here in To Catch a Thief. Hitchcock is sitting on the bus next to him, and Cary Grant just slowly turns to him. And right next to Cary Grant is a cage with a bird in it.
That scene made me chuckle. That's funny.
And of course, that's a reference. It's a reference to the Birds, and I love that. And then the final Hitchcock Cary Grant film, Zax, hey buddy, is North by Northwest, which is the funniest Hitchcock cameo, where he's trying to get on a bus and he gets cock blocked by the door. The bus driver won't let him on, and there it is. And he's just sort of left standing there as the bus pulls away. I love that. That's freaking funny. Hitchcock had a good sense of humor about himself, but he would. And I agree with you. I think it was you, Teague, that said he'd get caught up in himself with his films and his fixations with things. And it led to, like in North by Northwest, there are some logic issues within the film, but it's so much fun because it's long. Cary Grant's hilarious.
Gets in trouble, I guess. I think when he becomes gratuitous a little bit, like that movie might be 10 minutes too long too. It's a cool, like
true.
The jokes work though. The dialogue in that movie is some of his best.
Well, James Mason made a very good Bond villain.
James Mason. Do you know how to do James Mason's voice? Do an English Londoner's accent, and then add the sound of you needing to poop. I have to poop. My name is James Mason.
We tried to get Stuart Granger, but only James Mason was available.
Mason does more of a raspy.
Yeah, I can't really
do Mason,
but appreciated him.
Martin Landau also very good in that film. Again, North by Northwest is my favorite.
Well, that was his first exposure in film. Is the movie North by Northwest, and he should have been a star. He kind of became a star, but more on TV.
I still believe that had Leonard Nimoy not been cast, that he would have been a great Mr. Spock.
Anima didn't know that, by the way. I told her, I'm like, yeah,
you didn't know that?
He was the first pick for Spock.
I had no idea, no.
And it's so funny because when there's this crazy, because look, there's so many connections with Mission Impossible and Star Trek. One produced by Desi Liu, okay, both of them, and they were both flagship shows for Desi Liu, Star Trek and Mission Impossible. And then Martin Landau got angry because they weren't paying him enough, and he quit. And when he quit, his wife quit, Barbara Bain. So they walked out and they had to replace him. And who did they go to? It was almost a full season later. They got Leonard Nimoy to come in to play Paris. Now, was it the next season or the following season they brought Leonard? I can't remember.
They ended in 68, and he was on the show by 69. So
they also had the guy from Law and Order and Naked City. The guy who played
Sam Elliott
in Law and Order. Yeah,
not only that, Sam
like,
Elliott got started on that show.
Did he?
He was terrible.
I didn't know that.
He was terrible. And I love Sam Elliott. I love that guy. And he was terrible in that movie.
Oh,
in that show.
Stephen, man, I forgot his last name.
Hill?
I know you're talking.
Is it Hill?
Yeah, Stephen Hill. Stephen Hill.
He was the first. He was the first leader. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the original star of the show.
Yeah, and he had problems because he didn't like the grueling schedule that they used, and he refused to work on, was it Saturday for the Sabbath? Sabbat?
Mm-hmm.
Saturday? Because he was Orthodox Jewish. Yeah, he's Orthodox Jewish. And he used that as a means to get out of the show.
I mean,
so
when you look
they couldn't do a show around him with him not being there. So they just said, hey man, we're going to part ways. And he left the show happily. And they brought in Peter Graves, who was perfect.
Yeah, they brought in James Arness's brother to be the lead.
His little brother, even though they're the same height.
But that, to me, I always found it ironic, that when they were discussing making Star Trek the Motion Picture, there was a time there when they were thinking, well, maybe we shouldn't bring back the original actors. We should just go ahead and cast Hollywood actors to be, the Enterprise main three. And they were talking about bringing in Robert Redford for Kirk and Walter Matthau for McCoy. And guess whose name came up for Spock?
Again, Martin Landau.
Landau again?
Yep. Yep.
It's a very logical choice, but wow, the idea that we would have had anyone else play. I mean, someone else does it now, but it's kind of with an asterisk. Anyone else but William Shatner as Captain Kirk is it's just hard to imagine.
Well, you got to remember the studio thinking. I mean, again, you don't have people go, from TV and into films like that. And to make a big screen Star Trek, even though, you're spending a lot of money, you had to have at least expected them to want to consider to try to maximize that by bringing in some quote unquote named actors. To me, I mean, Robert Redford is Captain Kirk. A little weird, but I could see that.
I could see it.
Walter Matthau as Dr. McCoy. I could see that.
It's again a little weird, but I could see it.
And Martin Landau as Spock. I mean, that's near perfection. So yeah, it would have been weird, but not doable. So
it was a time.
Hey, we've got a couple of people here. I got to play their little videos for them. For our good friend Tim, who has shown up.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
And then, of course, for our good friend Kyle.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
And
says it with love.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. So again, we're talking about the great actor Cary Grant tonight, and I don't know. It's just he is one of those guys that if I need to watch a movie that's got comedy in it and cheer me up, he's one of them I've always turned to.
Mm-hmm.
And John Dust Wolfen has joined us.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
hello.
Hey,
We're talking about the movie actor Michael Douglas tonight.
No, you're talking about Cary Grant.
Oh yeah, that's right, Cary Grant. Yeah, we're going to talk about Falling Down. How great a movie it was. No.
Yeah.
I need a video for Teague. According to Tim, I need one for Teague.
You need one for Penny too. She's always here.
Yeah.
She deserves.
I'll probably find one from Lost in Space where Will or the robot is yelling Penny.
No, you need one with Dr. Smith saying Penny Precious.
Oh, that's a good suggestion. Why don't you find it for me, Martin?
Okay, we'll do.
You just got yourself work.
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
that's how you create work for yourself.
William Wyndham, any part of that episode of Star Trek he's in, he's epic through the whole thing. Just take any one of those, like, it's miles long.
I hear that.
You could swallow a dozen starships.
But I've got a little clip here I wanted to play real quick. This is the one I was talking about earlier, and I freaking love this scene. It just makes me giggle every time I see the movie raising or bringing up baby. And it's Cary walking through the house with this lady's coat on, and then he delivers this great line.
Yeah, no wonder that's Gary's favorite line.
It's just so freaking funny because he could have delivered that so many different ways, but that leap in the air just slays me.
He's
leaps in the air.
He's like a next level William Powell sometimes in certain movies,
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have time to watch this movie. I had to make a choice. There's only so
You
much
should have
time.
watched it.
It's true.
I'm just telling you.
I will.
It would have been one of your favorites. I guarantee it. Because there's something funny. Because they did that movie, not The Fine Young Cannibals. That came out later. Is something about living in Boston. And Cary Grant grabs Katharine Hepburn, by the face and just shoves her back through the door. And she did her own stunt there. And it was really good. It was like, holy shit. It was like that moment when James Cagney shoves that grapefruit in that woman's face when she's being sassy with him.
Is that Philadelphia Story?
I think that's it. Yes, Philadelphia Story. That's it. I love that movie. And that's Jimmy Stewart is in that one too, as I recall, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn.
Oh, what a great movie. What a cast. You just don't get better than that. And, in Gunga Din, he plays a great soldier. And I thought it was really funny. His D&C was really good, but physicality is something that Cary Grant was really adept at. And he really took to doing the military marches and doing proper turns in that. They did some great turns in there. And my favorite moment in the film is the scene where he teaches Gunga Din how to salute. The proper English
that's
salute.
great. It's a
And
weird
Gunga,
salute, but that scene's great.
Gunga isn't really a main character in his own story, but I love the fact that they still made him the hero. That they were all going to die.
Man than I, Gunga Din.
Yep.
Hey, the Comic Relief Crusaders in the house.
Michael, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, there's two tearjerker scenes in that movie. One is when he gets shot down from that tower, and the other one is when they make him a soldier post-mortem. Man, that made me tear up.
So it's a great film. If you've never seen Gunga Din, you will definitely see moments in the film. You go, wow, that's almost like in Temple of Doom. It's like,
yeah.
Yep.
George Lucas knows how to steal. He does it right. And the whole bridge thing, the elephant. Oh, I mean, everything in there. My favorite moment in Gunga Din with the elephant, though, because God, the whole thing with the elephant getting sick is so funny. And the guy thinks gave him the wrong medicine and takes off running and it just collapses. But then later, he yells at Gunga, "Go get something big to get me out of here that'll bend these bars and get me out."
Because Gunga Din gives him a fork to break out.
Gives him a fork.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to eat this salad, Get me something bigger. So he goes and he gets the elephant, wakes the elephant up, gets it to come up. And then instead of pulling the bars out, it just completely destroys the jail. Nothing's left of that jail. And they do a famous Buster Keaton scene with the wall collapsing and the one Indian guard standing there, and it collapses around him with the door flapping open. And he's in the doorway. I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. They threw that in there. Just some great stunts, great gags in it. Also, the guy that...
What year is that movie? It's literally like 1933, isn't it?
Yeah, 1933. And
we're not
gangster,
too far removed from that being standard, the falling house and stuff. So
it was all shot at Lone Pines and Death Valley, the entire film. And Lone Pines with those mountain peaks and everything. And it was shot there. And for the desert scenes, it was shot in Death Valley. And it just brilliant use of matte paintings and everything in that film. I had trouble catching because I suspect there are two scenes that were partial real and partial matte paintings. But
hey, boss,
I don't know how they did it. I'm not sure how they did it. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Keith has to go, so it's time for us.
Keith, any last thoughts on Cary Grant before you go, man?
You know what? You could not have picked a better person to dedicate a show to. Someone who just had an incredible career and whose impact on the industry continues to this day. Fascinating human being, great special about his life. I have immense amounts of respect for Cary Grant as a performer, and having learned about his life really as a person, nothing greater than to leave everything behind because you want to raise your kids. And yeah, it's amazing, an amazing life. So thank you for the opportunity coming on and say what I had to say. And I just want to say, hopefully I can, hopefully everyone will have a good rest of the day celebrating Cary Grant's birthday. And if you can, just find a moment or two to put on a really good Cary Grant movie and just lose yourself in it. So there you go.
So I gotta go because I gotta watch a debate. My other show is politics, and so I'm watching the L.A. District Attorney debate tonight. So,
oh, okay.
Talk to you guys.
I still
later.
think you need to get into politics.
No, it's too mad.
I know I'm not the only person that thinks that.
It's too. I've been told that multiple times, but it's too nasty. But I'm going to leave with a quote from Sergeant Archibald Cutter from Gunga Din. Now you're all under arrest. Her Majesty's very touchy about having her subjects strangled. So take care, guys.
Hi, Chief.
Have a good night.
Hi, Chief.
I'll see you later, buddy. Have a good night. That was great. Yeah, I love that movie so much. And I was telling Anima, I said, these guys, the Thuggies it's where the word thug comes from. It didn't come from urban dialogue. It came from India with the Thuggies.
George Lucas loves that movie.
Yes, he borrowed from it greatly.
Greatly. He loved that movie, man.
And it's worth all of the love. I'll tell you right now. Gunga Din is one of the first great adventure films, in my opinion. It really is.
It was more recent than I thought, too. 1939. I had thought it was kind of much older. The last time I saw it, maybe saw one with an unrestored soundtrack, but it was a little rough. And things you said, like early movie cinematic tropes, were still in it, like the falling house thing. And a couple of things about the way they fight are a little Three Stooges like, where
look, those Hollywood
the fight
punches
choreographies are goofy. They're goofy as fuck. But
I feel like it was
fine with
expected of them. I feel like somebody was there. Like it's like, well, all right, people love action, which isn't exactly violence, but it's action. So what we're gonna do? There was something to what they were doing that had to do with avoiding. I don't know. It was very strange. It was definitely a weird way to choreograph fights, and the house falling thing, and other things about Gunga Din. It just shows like a document of the year it was made. Like cinema is still changing. Maybe that movie was in the making a little longer. It's a good movie, but it shows like the development of cinema, like right where we are. So I guess in a way it's cutting edge.
Yeah, one of the scenes that really cracked me up is when this dude stabs Cary Grant with a bayonet, and he so clearly goes next to his body. So fake, so obvious, but I'm okay with that. It's 39.
Yeah, and they're still in the early years of film figuring things out. I mean, you see that because Animal's like, why is the blood so orange in movies from the late 60s, early 70s? And I said, because they hadn't figured out how to do cinematic blood yet. It wasn't until the mid to late 70s they finally got the right mix. And there
was no telling how it was going to retransmit sometimes or how it would be recorded. Yeah.
Yeah. And now and it's in the opening title thing, one of my favorite moments from Charade is because one of the things I read about is that all of the leading ladies, most of them, if not all of them, fell in love with Cary Grant when they worked with him. And they would really just wanted him. And including Grace Kelly, she pursued him. And but he was a man of honor, And but Audrey Hepburn also fell in love with him. And the scene where she's in the hallway and he's sort of like doing his typical Cary Grant bit of dialogue about how naughty she is and how annoying she is. She turns to him and says, do you know what's wrong with, or you know what my problem is with you? And he goes, what's that? And she leans in and just gives the sweetest eyes and smile. She goes, nothing. And she walks away.
That was cute.
I love that scene with her because I'm a big fan of Audrey Hepburn too. As a kid, I had a huge crush on her. I had a crush on that woman. Roman Holiday, what a great movie.
I just don't like
Eddie Albert,
always smoking. Always
It's
smoking.
what killed her. It's what killed her. And
Wade's doing it again. Wade, stop flirting with my boyfriend. Dude, you have a problem.
Hi, Wade.
You were going to say something, Teague?
No, I was just greeting Wade.
Oh. How's it going, Wade? Pop culture minefield under the weather, Gary? Yeah, I've been sick for a few days. I couldn't do Toxic Tuesday again. I was so sick that night, man. It was rough. But I was only really badly sick the one night. And then the next day I woke up, I felt better, but I've been coughing and just gagging sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, you're doing a lot better than our guest of honor, Cary Grant. He's in pretty rough shape these days.
Who is?
Cary himself.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
he died in
can't do much worse
'86.
than that. Yeah. He lived a good long time, though. I mean, wow. A career
Well,
in how many decades?
he'd be 119 today.
I wonder what would be on his mind right now. Worms.
Ew. That's a joke right out from Call of Duty. You know what went through that guy's brain before he died? My bullet.
Yeah, when I shot that dude, I said, you know what the last thing that went to that guy's mind when I shot him? My bullet. Let's see. Excuse me. So I don't know how long we're going to do. I think we should do this just an hour because I just wanted to celebrate this guy. It's his birthday today. Cary Grant's just such an amazing dude. I'd love to do, and I got to figure out a way where we can do watch parties and watch some classic movies with an audience.
I'd love that.
I suggest Cosme.
Actually, I just saw His Girl Friday is on 2 different YouTube channels for free. So you can actually watch it for free on YouTube. Those older films, you know, it's hard for them to maintain those copyrights. Backdoor Grant. There we go. There you go. You got your video?
That's a weak one, though.
Oh, it's not bad.
Not your best, Wade.
It's not bad. I'm not. Let's not give him shit. I have to say, you know, I didn't expect any, so he gets a. Let's give him. Which one I want to do? I'm going to do this one.
Maybe we can get in through the back door.
There you go.
That's a good one.
I think we can just wrap this show up because we talked about it, and I talked about just if you've never read about Cary Grant, go back and read his books about him, especially the book by Diane Cannon. She wrote with a lot of love and frustration too, but he was a difficult person to love because of so many problems he had, and he was trying to get help. And watch that miniseries, Archie, with Jason Isaacs as Cary Grant. He did a tremendously good job in that film or in that show.
I want to see more of that. I only watched the first episode with you.
Oh, we can watch some tonight. We'll watch it right after the show.
Oh, it's only 2 a.m., but yeah, let's do that.
It's his birthday. It's his
I
birthday.
know.
So
I
we're going to
know.
celebrate his birthday and watch another episode. I'm going to be doing probably, and I need to say something to Martin right now. Go ahead and create a show for tomorrow morning. I'll do some gaming. So I'll game on Wednesday and Thursday, Friday mornings. I'm not going to do a regular show because I don't want to work my brain that way. It exhausts me. But I'll do some gaming and chit chat, hang out with you guys while I kill people virtually.
Take my place.
You
It's not
could
gonna
try
work.
to figure out how the thing works, the game, and play that on one of those days.
What game?
The thing. The one
Oh,
where you
I
couldn't figure
actually.
out the
Yes, I couldn't figure out how to play the video game.
yeah.
I couldn't get it to work with my controller. It wanted me to do the mouse thing. That was driving me crazy, and keyboard. And I don't play that way. I've never played that way. I've always played with a controller. So, but I love the thing. It's a phone. And oddly, though, the first time I ever played the thing, now that I think about it, I did play with keyboard and mouse. But the minute it came out on Xbox, I bought it so I could play on Xbox because it's so much easier to use a controller for me. Let's see. But I wouldn't mind to do, like, every once in a while, do a Thursday evening show about something. Like maybe, like I said, you know, find out some of the birthdays of some of these great Hollywood actors and actresses and do a Thursday show to celebrate them, some of the stuff they worked on. Take
like
a
that.
blue pill that might help. No, Tim, no. One, I don't have any trouble to begin with, so that would just be more burden than necessary for any woman in love with me. Make it stop. I can't. Jason Isaacs also portrayed another actor, Harry H. Corbett, the lead in Carry On Screaming and Steptoe and Son. I don't know that one. I've never heard of that. I like Jason Isaacs. I think he's a bit of a cunt in real life. A twat. More like a twat.
Yeah.
More like a twat. Kind of an idiot. You know, because he's a little woke. It's like everyone's birthday was today.
It was my dad's birthday yesterday. Well, day before yesterday here. It's already Friday for me.
I'd like to. Should I do? There's a scene. No, it's too long.
What?
That's too long. I'm looking for really good scenes from Cary Grant movies. Oh yeah, the thing that got him started. I forgot about this. Mae West, and I guarantee you, she banged him. She's the person that made him a star in Hollywood. Oh my God, that's the other film that they did together. Yeah, that's right. Sylvia Scarlett, Katharine Hepburn, and Cary Grant. Oh my God. Houseboat's another one I want to watch with Anima. I love that movie with Sophia Loren. That is such a great film. I loved that movie when I was a kid. I really did. Oh my goodness. I'm going through all these scenes. What great moments. God. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. I'm going to play a little bit of this. This is so much fun. This is the scene from, again, Bringing Up Baby with the torn clothing. You remember this one, Anima? I showed it to you previously.
Mm-hmm.
This is some good stuff right here. If we get ganked with this later, I'll delete them. But that's YouTube for you. They don't believe in being able to talk about anything and showing it.
Yes.
Very true. If you ever see the Who's That Girl, like 60% of it is Bringing Up Baby.
Oh, with Madonna. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of take it wholesale. There's some other stuff going on there too, but they take a lot of that movie.
Well, the thing that's interesting, once again, she had the New England Pan-Pacific accent. And he had an English Pan-Pacific accent. And he created that accent all on his own. Nobody in the world talked like that without trying to. And what I thought was interesting, in the miniseries, there's a moment when he's fresh off the boat in New York, walking, down the street one night, and you hear someone tell him to keep his head held high, basically. And it's actually Jason Isaacs playing another version of Cary Grant, walking down with the Cary Grant accent. So they're trying to show in that moment that he inspired himself to do the accent the way he does it. And nobody else talked like him. Nobody. And that's one of the things that made him so damned unique as an actor. Because nobody sounded like him. Nobody looked like him. He had a cleft chin that looked like somebody had shot him. There's a little bullet hole right there in his chin. It's ridiculous. But that's it, guys. I enjoyed doing this. It was fun. I appreciate everybody being here. I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning for some Call of Duty. And then we'll do TGIF tomorrow afternoon. Hope everybody's had a good week. Should feel honored or offended by being part of a backdoor breach. I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Here. That's the one. I just don't know.
No, you don't get that one, Wade.
You
I love you,
can't
buddy,
throw a
but
back
no.
door on something and expect a video.
T. Where are you going next? What are you doing?
Tomorrow I'll be on with my pal Appion, and we'll be watching Big Trouble in Little China with Fet for Hire.
Ooh, that is like in my top 5 list of favorite films of all time.
Yeah, we talked about it a little today, actually. I talked about it a little today with Keith today, actually. I'm going to put Appion's link in the chat if you don't mind, and you guys can catch us there tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to blow off my afternoon show, but I'll be on tomorrow morning on my show, which is in the chat there, Saving Star Trek. Follow me. I will lead you to better Star Trek, or at least less bad Star Trek.
Less bad Star Trek.
That's that's the hope. At this point, we can only hope for damage control. Oh man. And celebrate the old good Star Trek that was great while we move out into other things. But tomorrow I'll be there in the afternoon. That's my pal Appion's channel. He just hit 2,000 subs. You should follow him. Everybody's doing it. And then I'm your buddy, Admiral Teague.
Outstanding. John, what's your next thing? Plus, you're going to school, so you're working in the evenings now.
Yeah, well, I work, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So, but on Wednesday and Friday nights at 8 o'clock, I am continuing my normal games that I was playing before. So nobody loses anything. And if they can't make the morning, can't make it because they're a morning person, well, they can always watch the repeat. That's what's good about YouTube. It's always there.
Heat and repeat.
Yep.
I just
Baldur's
shared
Gate.
Baldur's Gate. Roger that. I just shared a link with you, Martin.
Yeah.
That is the show I'm going to be doing tomorrow night at it'll be in 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
It's Mad
Ruth.
Right?
Yeah. Yep, Mad Ruth, here it is. If you guys have not subbed to him, here is the link. Open it up here. I will share the link. Mad Ruth. God, there we go.
Oh, I'm sharing it.
No, I'm sharing his channel too. So I'm going to share that with you, and then you can share it. Because I shared you the actual link to the show, and then I'm going to be here tomorrow hanging out with these nerds and talking about Vindicated Inc. and other stuff, several different subjects with these guys. But I will be promoting Vindicated Inc. We have definitely jumped by almost $1,600 in 2 days. So I'm hoping that we get fully funded. But I'm not too worried about it because I know eventually it'll happen. And I already talked to Richard Bonk, and I'm going to be sending him some money relatively quickly once it actually hits the bank, and then I can send it to him. So join us tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern. I'll be hanging out with Mad Ruth and the guys. It's called Friday Nights.
I like that title. I'll try to be there. It's 3 a.m. for me, but I'll try to be in chat. I have a family thing Saturday morning, though, so I don't know.
And also, we'll be doing TGIF tomorrow afternoon. And do we know what we're going to be talking about tomorrow?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Well, there you go. That's how it goes.
We'll come up with something.
Sometimes find out like an hour before.
That's how professional we are.
Yep, that's right. We know what we're doing.
We are professional amateurs.
Absolutely
Yes,
professionals.
exactly.
We are pros at what we're doing. Tim says, "Go to bed, Anima."
No, tomorrow. So tomorrow he means. Yeah, that's not how it works. First of all, I can't get to sleep before 1 or 2 a.m. anyway. So yeah, that's not going to work.
In the immortal words of Brian,
that's it. Show's over.